My husband doesn't talk about his feelings. My husband barely tells me what's going on in his world. My husband seems stressed out, but he doesn't communicate with me. We never have deeper talks about our childhoods or what's going on underneath. Do any of these things resonate with you? I hear a lot of these things from my clients. They say that they want a deeper connection, but it doesn't happen because their partner just won't open up. There are so many reasons that this happens, and today we're just going to focus on one of those reasons because it's the one that you can do something about. I'm Lindsay. This is Loving with Intention. And by the end of this episode, you'll know one clear thing that you can do to start feeling closer and more connected and see your husband opening up and sharing things with you and having those deeper conversations. So we are just diving right in. And like I said, there are a lot of potential reasons why your husband might not open up. And to be honest, let's be real. This isn't just about husbands. This is about anyone. This is about humans. So not opening up about deeper things or sharing what's going on, this can stem from childhood, from past experiences, from their nervous systems, from learning, like how they learned to deal with stress and conflict and so much more, so many things. And at this point, you might find yourself thinking, he will never open up. You're feeling frustrated. And while you totally hate this, you're kind of just trying to accept that this is just going to be the way that things are. This is how it is because he won't change. You start feeling more and more hopeless when you hear your friends talk about deeper chats that they have, or you see people on social media and you hear about these conversations that are happening, and you just know that you're never going to have them. And it feels awful. It makes sense that you would think that things would never change. You have lots of evidence of your partner not opening up, not talking about deep things. No matter how hard you try, he just seems to shut down. And he certainly doesn't bring things up on his own. Of course, you would think that things will never change, and this is just who he is. So just imagine for a moment a flower that hasn't bloomed yet. So you got this pretty little flower. It's all closed up, some little pink tulip, and it just hasn't bloomed yet. The reality is it's not that it can't open up, it's just waiting for the right environment. It needs sunlight, warmth, a little bit of TLC, and then when it gets that, it blooms and it's beautiful. And people are kind of the same. They open up when they feel safe and supported and understood. So just like the flower, it's about creating the right environment, a safe space in your relationship where your partner feels like they can share. And again, other layers to why your partner doesn't open up. This episode is just about this one layer because you can start shifting this right away. When we're looking at ourselves, we might hear create a safe space and think, I do that. I do create a safe space. And then we just go back to thinking, he'll never change. Today is an invitation to explore the whole safe space thing even deeper so that you don't get stuck feeling hopeless in that he'll never change place. So just for a moment, think of a time that your partner has shared something, even the smallest thing. Maybe he's telling you he's frustrated about his boss, or that he just got off the phone with his mom and she's complaining about the same thing again. Think of one of those moments or a moment like that. When he shares, how do you respond? Do you go into fix-it mode? Do you try to defend the person that he's talking about? Do you try to help him see the bright side? Do you barely pay attention and just sort of mumble, mm-hmm? Or do you get critical of him because he's complaining again? This could look like your partner being like, oh, my boss was going off again today at work about us not meeting the deadlines, but it is impossible to get all of that stuff done. And you might respond with, well, do you think you could just talk to him about it after work one day? So this is going into fix-it mode. Or maybe you respond with, I can totally see his point. He's probably under so much pressure from his boss. So this is kind of defending his boss. Or maybe he's talking and you're staring at your phone and you're just like, oh, that sucks, but you don't really respond. You're not really there present listening. Or maybe you say something to him like, I just want to talk about something positive. You never talk about positive things. You're always so negative. This is getting critical. If any of those sound familiar, it is so important to bring in so much love and so much compassion for yourself, because underneath all of these responses are beautiful, valid, unmet needs. These kinds of responses are unhealthy strategies to get those needs met, but that is a whole nother conversation, and I will put the link to that episode in the show notes. And of course, just because there are beautiful, valid needs under these responses, it doesn't mean that they're creating a safe space. It is so easy to miss the ways that we might not be creating a safe space in our relationship But you are choosing to listen to this episode. You are choosing to get curious, and you are amazing. So on the surface, it can seem like your partner's just complaining. And what if we started to look at it as him expressing his emotions and his thoughts to you, with you? Then it becomes less about the problem itself, the thing that he's venting about or maybe complaining about, and more about what he's really feeling in the moment in that experience. Your husband is actually giving you a glimpse of his inside world, his frustration about his boss, his overwhelm with his mom, complaining about the same thing again. If we see under the surface, there's actually so much more there. This is an opportunity for depth and connection. And when you go into fixing or defending or ignoring or criticizing or any of these things, it actually shuts down that moment. It shuts down connection. Then maybe he gets defensive or he gets really critical or he gets annoyed or frustrated or just stops talking altogether. The moment is lost. And deeper than this moment in itself, when this happens repeatedly, like most things do in our relationships, he may start asking himself, what's the point? And maybe he's not literally asking himself that, but subconsciously he learns, when I share things, my partner doesn't listen. Or when I share things, my partner just tells me I'm wrong. When I share things, they take the other person's side. When I share things, they just give me solutions that I don't really want. With this subconscious messaging just sort of running under the surface, it makes a whole lot of sense that your partner doesn't open up about deeper things, like his childhood, or vulnerable feelings, or telling you what he would love in your relationship, or what hurts him. If I can't even tell her about a stressful day without it going sideways, I'm definitely not going to tell her things that are a lot harder to talk about. I have worked with clients who this really, really clicked for. They realized that they always go into fix-it mode, or that they always just get really annoyed when their partner brings these things up. And they started to change things, and they saw their husbands open up about more vulnerable things. So not just maybe the complaints or the venting, the deeper things, the things that they actually wanted to have conversations about. And, thinking about one example, there was somebody and she said that her partner would complain about work. And she knew every time he does that, I go into fix it mode. I start trying to find solutions. I start giving him suggestions that he doesn't take. The conversation just ends and the moment is lost. When we talked about this and she shifted things, she came back the next week to our session and was telling me that she just held space. She sat there and she did the things that we're going to talk about in this episode that created that safe space for her partner. And he opened up and she got to see what was underneath that complaint. And they had this great conversation. And this didn't just stop there. This really led to, as we did our work together, more deeper conversations, the things that she wanted. So let's talk about how you can turn things around. And again, so much love to yourself. We do not know what we don't know. These things happen and there are so many factors involved. And maybe you're thinking my partner does the exact same thing to me whenever I say anything. They just try to fix it or they just tell me that I'm wrong. So again, this isn't just about wives and husbands. This is for husbands for wives, for people who are unmarried, dating, whoever. It is for anyone to drop in and think about. Anyone in a relationship who wishes that their partner would open up. The fact that you're getting curious about this now is such a huge step. So after you've thought about it and identified the ways that you do respond or react when your husband vents or complains or shares something, it is time to get intentional. The most beautiful gift that we can give someone is to hold space, is to truly listen, to create that safe space. So that might look like your partner saying the thing about his boss and how he was going off, and you just respond with, your boss did that again? And this, even if you've heard it before, this is you reflecting back to them what they said and asking them a question about it. There's no fixing, there's no defending anyone, there's no criticizing. You're engaged with them. And then maybe your partner shares more. They tell you what their boss said, or maybe they tell you how they felt. Maybe they say, I'm so pissed off. This is the perfect time for validation. It makes sense you're pissed off. He's been really hard on you guys. Or, of course you're pissed off. He could say things in such a nicer way to you. Feeling validated is amazing. It can literally speak right to your heart. It can relax his nervous system. You might see his shoulders relax in front of you. A lot of time, that's exactly what we need, just to know that our feelings make sense, that someone is listening, someone is hearing us, and that we make sense. And then leaning into appreciation. I appreciate that you're telling me what's going on. I appreciate that you feel safe to tell me what's going on at work. Or I appreciate how hard you work, especially with him going off or with that going on at work. Appreciation is so full of love. So those steps were reflecting back, validating, it makes sense, and then appreciating. This beautiful little combo is really great for creating a safe space. And of course, this doesn't mean that it's just going to be like, boom, 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 back and forth, like nailed it, reflected, validated, appreciated. There might be like a lot of back and forth. He might want to share a lot. So you might be reflecting back a lot, and you might be validating a lot. You might be appreciating a lot. And there might just be a lot of holding space and pure listening. When those things are happening without those other things, imagine how differently this conversation could go. So often we just want to be heard. That is connecting. When I think about sharing something challenging with, my sister or telling my partner about something, I'm thinking just now, like I text my sister about a bad day. So I'm just telling her about what happened, that I'm not having a good day, that I'm not feeling great, whatever that thing is. Most of the time, I don't want an answer from her. I don't want her to fix it. And usually, if I do want that, I would say something like, what do you think I should do? Or what would you do in this scenario? I'm making it really clear that I want a solution. Most of the time, I truly just want to be seen. I just want to be known. I just want that safe space. I just want my sister to say, oh, that sucks. That sucks that you're having a crappy day. Oh, it makes sense that you're upset because that didn't turn out the way you wanted it to. That is connecting. That is healing. And it keeps me coming back to share more and more with my sister, with my partner, because they're creating a safe space to do that. And it's not about having the perfect response. It is about showing your partner, I hear you, I'm on your side, I'm with you. And of course, there are nuances to this, just like there always are. And I can only cover so much in a short episode. In getting intentional with this, though, you can really open the door to all kinds of conversations that you would love to have with your partner. And safe spaces aren't just when they're venting or when they're frustrated about something. Safe spaces are when they're telling you about something they care about, even if it's not really an interest of yours, or when they're sharing a memory with you, even if you've heard the memory before. These are incredible moments to lean in, reflect, validate, appreciate, and always stay curious. Get curious about what's underneath what they share. See these moments as the bids for connection that they are. Your partner's reaching out to connect with you, and this can help you just keep your heart open in these moments. If any of this resonates with you, I 10 out of 10 recommend joining me for my free 3-day relationship reset challenge for women. We start on January 21st. It's going to be 3 amazing days, and I know that it is the new year, and a lot of people are ready to dive in and create change. This is the perfect way to do that. I ran this free challenge back in September for the very first time, and the women in the challenge couldn't believe the changes they were seeing in just 3 days, even after just the first day. So if you are a woman in a relationship and you're listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube, this challenge is for you. By the end of the 3 days, you'll already feel more connected. And I know that that can be super hard to believe. It's 3 days, it's a free challenge, but when you know exactly where to focus your energy, change happens. This is how change happens. And challenge participants too are going to have a chance to win a free spot in my women's group coaching program that I love so much. It is called Revive. So you can head to the show notes to sign up for the challenge. It is free. It is amazing. It's a game changer. I can't wait to see. Before we wrap up, your intentional action for the week is to get compassionately curious. When your partner shares, whether it's venting, complaining, sharing something they're interested in, how do you respond? Do you tend to go into fix-it mode? Do you defend the person that they're talking about? Do you get critical? Do you ignore them or any other unhealthy pattern? If so, meeting this with so much love because this is a growth opportunity. Just naming it is the first step to changing it. You can start to then look for opportunities to reflect, validate, appreciate, and come in with so much curiosity. Start to create that safe space. When you do this in these smaller moments, it creates a safe space for the bigger, deeper conversations. You have got this. I'm sending so much love into your day. Remember that nothing changes if nothing changes, and the 3-day relationship reset challenge for women is the perfect way to create change. I hope to see you there. The link is in the show notes. Let's have an intentional week.